So, good morning everybody. So, we will be talking on interlocking femur today. Today's subject is basically to talk about the interlocking femur. Basically nailing. We will talk about the nailing. We had discussed about the nailing of the tibia. So, let us talk about the femoral nail also, salient points, how to go ahead with his guide tonight. So, again we have to go with a philosophy. So, what is the philosophy today? Okay, we will repeat one philosophy today again. So, that is your karmano dikareste ma pholesu kadasana ma karma phalhatu pusmate sanjukta karmani. The meaning is that devotion in work without expecting the result. So, you have to devote yourself with sincerity to work and without any expectation of the result. That is your another lesson for today's. Got my point, my dear? That you will devote your work without any expectation of your result. Anyway, so while talking about the flexor femur, so let us cover something more also. That this the indication and contraindication is supposed to know where to do nailing or where not to do. So common contraindication. Indication, you know almost all the cases of flexor femur, particularly diaphyseal flexor. I told you. Diaphyseal flexor is mostly addressed by the nail. Even supracondylar flexors are also addressed by the nailing from starting from here. Yes or no? And proximal flexor femur is also being addressed by nail many times. But here and then, in today's scenario, the metaphyseal plates which are coming for the femur, distal lateral femoral locking plates, then also the proximal locking plates are also available to address the conditions, particularly in metaphyseal flexors by interarticular flexors. Whereas in the diphyseal flexor it is mostly addressed by the nail. But even then, there are certain contraindications to it also, that every time you cannot go for the same interlocking device. So, can anybody tell me some contraindication of doing this conventional nail? As usual, certain the interlocking nails or nailing is not an ideal choice for the children before skeletal maturity. Yes or no? So, there in those children, if there is flexor femur, it is ideal to go for the elastic nail or even sometimes plating rather than violating the epiphysis with nail. So, for children. So, in case of also adult, particularly if there is a malunion previously, some rotational or some alignments or medullary cavity is not existent or very narrow, probably these are not good candidate to go for nailing. Osteopetrosis. But pathological fracture as such mostly deal with nail. Yes? And as I said, in case of tibia, as we go for nailing in most of the cases, type 1, type 2, type 3, A, B, not C of course, are also addressed by nailing. Here also one can do it. And as you know, this invention or the development of this development of nailing, particularly with this nail. So initially it was addressed with the canal. We have discussed about the canal also before. So that is already been discussed. So we are not going to talk about this canal because we have already discussed this matter. But subsequent invention or modification was actually to address the problem faced with the canal. So as you know, a canal has got 3-point fixation technique. 3-point fixation technique, basically 3 point. Proximal, distal, and the particularly at the flexor side or isthmus. But subsequently, internal rotational instability which was faced with this canal was addressed by the introductions of the locking device by the Grossi-Kempf. Actually, basically, canal came to this field of medical science, particularly 1930, 1940, like that. On 1970 onwards, there was a concept of your interlocking device. And nowadays, this invention is going on, modification is going on to address more and more problems, faced with the second generation. So nowadays condylocephalic recondyle, what is this? That one can address both the shaft as well as the neck together at a one unit. So conditions may be there where there is a fracture here, fracture femur, and also there is a fracture neck of the femur too. So both these conditions may be addressed with a single unit. So that is why, but that is not always preferable. As you know that there is a anteversion here and there is a curvature here. This curvature as well as anteversions are variable to person. So a single unit where you cannot have your freedom of accommodation. Probably in this situation it will be difficult to negotiate both these things together. So in these situations, probably addressing the both conditions separately is more prudent to address it in a single unit. Are you point? So, but there is more modifications coming up to all these problems which are faced today. So that is the thing that then as I said, this is indications, all type of diaphyseal fractures, even proximal and distal fractures also being addressed by nail. Compound fractures, almost all, but always, as I said already, that always be very careful, particularly infected conditions. If you are not happy with the debridement, if there is already infection is settled in, probably these are not good candidates to go for nailing testing. Always be careful. So though you will find a lot of literatures coming up with these reports and studies that in compound fracture I am doing nailing and getting great result. This is quite possible. In those situations where he is happy to do so with this cleaning and debridement and other things, and the chances of infection is less, probably it is logical. But where infection is settled in, when the patient is coming late, after 2 days, 3 days, infection is already there, pus is there, these are not good candidates to go for nailing. And if you do so, probably you will invite more trouble throughout your life. It will go for infected non-union, diaphyseal system, so many problems will be there. So it will be another headache for you to deal with these situations later on. May need to go for Elixir from so many problems on top. So that is why it is not logical in those situations. But whereas people are trying to do so in a clean cases, that you do not have this problem. Do not have. There are studies, they can do it. So that is one point, the selective of the cases there, one point. Number two, limitations with you, when you are not happy with the medullary cavity, very small medullary cavity, osteopetrosis, as I said. Or there is a fracture already which was BL united and medullary cavity is deviating. Little bit of medullary, but rig fracture is there, he is coming for it now. Probably this is not a good candidate to focus on nailing. So you have some limitations always. Yeah? But others, all cases can be treated. Now next point, the selection of the cases and also now 1, 2, 3 points are there also at when to do this nail. There is some controversy also when to take the cases. There are a lot of studies which are saying that you go for late, in one case go for early. But once the patient is optimized, once the patient is stable, you can take up the patient early. And this is more logical for close nailing. Whereas in open technique in canal, it is logical to do this start the patient late. I am going to give the explanation for it also. That in case of open technique, one thing is true, the fracture femur is in case of adult is because of huge trauma. It is because of huge trauma and violent injury. Necessarily, in a young adult, the strongest bone is fracture. To have this fracture, necessarily he must have encountered a tremendous force. And this will necessarily cause extensive damage to the soft tissue, then fracture. Likewise, there is also every possibility to have additional injury to this body. So in early case management, which I am not very much covering here, but you must have this in his mind that ATLS guideline is paramount important for fracture femur. Here you have to be very careful. You have to careful for doing so. You have to be very careful. Are you getting my point? So, in a case of fracture femur, it is not the fixation part. First thing you have to save the life of the person. Then you have to manage this patient early. You have to manage the patient early. Sometimes even to give him blood transfusions, because in fracture femur there is loss of blood from 500 to 2000 ml. So particularly in case of children and particularly in case of elderly, you have to be very cautious. If such amount of blood is drained out from his circulations, if you are unable to address it, he is in shock and you have to correct it first. So these things we are not going to cover. These things are always there in this ATLS guideline, how to deal with this situation. But later on, the question is that you have to go for the fixation. In fixation, it is said, open fracture, one can wait. One should wait. While you are talking about nailing, but this nailing is not commonly being done. Even if in a case you need to do so, you have to wait. Probably where the C-arm is not working, where instruments are not available, or where patient is very poor, who is to go. Yes, in those situations one may need to go for. But here this ideal thing is to wait for secondary. So by this time there is resolutions of the trauma. There is soft tissue edema is coming down, and it also said that it helps in revascularization of the end of the fracture. Revascularization of the fracture. Okay? So that is why open fracture should to be done later, but early fixation of interlocking is possible. But here also another question is there about the rimming. It's also to be clarified that where to do rimming or where to not do. Regarding controversy of rimming in compound fracture is a bit settled down. The controversy of going for not rimming in case of compound fracture is nowadays settling down to go for rimming. Latest your studies have shown there is no vast difference in non-rimming, rimming of your fracture femur. ITBA also. Nadim Kumar, will do rimming in compound fracture or not, Kumar? Why not? Why you do not want to do rimming, and what is the disadvantage? To आपको पूछना चाहिए, if you have any question then you should ask. आपका इधर उधर ध्यान देने से कैसा होगा? To tell me in a compound fracture why the people do not want to do rimming. Simple. In a compound fracture there is extensive damage to the soft tissue. Periosteal stripping is there. That means periosteal blood circulation is already jeopardized. Now if you do the rimming to the medullary cavity, you will do further damage to the endosteal network. So if you are doing damage from endosteal as well as periosteal, probably you are mounting this more damage to the bone. That is the logic behind. But in practical point of view, it is said that is ultimately these results are almost same with that of a closed fracture and a compound fracture. Latest editions. And minus point of doing of unrimmed nail is necessarily you have to go for a smaller nail, which is a problematic one to go for metallic failure. Metallic failure. So these are the things are there. There is a matter of controversy. But keeping aside all these things, so we can go for this thing. Now, question arises: what is off axis? What is on axis nailing? What is off axis? What is on axis nailing? Bole. What is off axis? What is on axis?
Sir, when the nail is put in the line of the
medullary cavity.
it is on axis.
On axis. On axis is there In case of femur, what will be on axis entry point? Piriform fossa. Piriform fossa. Now that is one. And what is on off axis? Usually GT. So in those cases you will have a curvature. A nail have a curvature. So K nailing is an on axis sort of nail. Retrograde on axis. But whether condylocephaly other nails, their PFN nails are off axis. That means your entry point is from the beta trochanter. Okay, that is one. Positioning and we are more concerned. This discussion is mostly actually practical points. We are talking about the practical things, so we are more concentrating to the practical rather than theoretical discussions. So we related to more practical and more your realistic points. So what should be position with the patient? That's understood. Now, while doing this nailing in a hefty man, it's a very difficult situation. Sometimes entering to the your entry point or finding out is another difficult point. What additional maneuver can help you to find it? Get the tip of the trochanter. What additional maneuver can help you? Additional maneuver has also that two things. One can lift up this buttock with something in below, 1 point. Number two, adduction of limb. Do the adduction more, then at least you will find the greater trochanter. But while passing the limbing and other things, you are supposed to bring it to the alignment. That will be more easier to do. Yes, madam? So, in a heavy person with a big buttock, probably it becomes a difficult situation. Probably if the buttock is big, abdomen is also big, so it is a very difficult situation sometimes to find out the entry point. Incision is big, you need to be very negotiating and fighting, because if your guider is coming, then his body is coming. So sometimes you have to take additional care to pull the body towards the other side and do the limb adduction more so as to make it more prominent. So some additional things you may need, but it's not very essential for in case of thin built person. It is more essential for the. Okay, these are practical things. One. Number two is the application of the statement pin traction. People prefer, people do not prefer. Yeah, sometimes if the patient is a bit coming late, hefty man, probably you may need to go for a trains like this. Big bulk muscle. The traction may not be given easily with this. Probably you may need to go for these types of tractions. Because somehow the reduction is always to be a closed technique. In case of flexor femur, while doing for nailing, closed nailing, it is a closed technique, where you can take the additional help of other things to reduce it. What other things we will talk. So first thing is the position. Patient is under anesthesia, patient is position. Additional maneuver, as I said, sometimes you need to do the positioning of the body, position of the limb, so as to make it more prominent to find out here. Incision is paid. Now you have to find out the point, entry point. Entry point, yes or no? So entry point is in piriformis fossa. If you take this long axis like this, in which part this piriformis fossa entry will be there in the? If you, okay, I am talking about this point. See, in pure AP view, what happened? The base of the neck is overlapping with this crest. Crest to overlap. That is a pure AP view. Pure AP view, you will find this crest is overlapping with that of your base of the neck. That will tell you that you are in the right direction. Point which is passing, then you can feel the anterior cortex, you feel the posterior cortex also. Where is the entry point? Where entry point is towards the anterior or towards the posterior? It is towards the posterior. So mainly you will find this point is almost upper 2/3 and lower 1/3. Upper 2/3 and lower 1/3. It is take a view like this, lateral view. Then your entry point in AP view is here. And in lateral view also you try to find out the area which is a bit posterior than that of anterior. Usually upper 2/3 junctional point and lower 1/3. This is the area of entry. Initially you have to go like this, then you have to communicate with this medullary cavity. Yes or no? You can take short reamer also to introduce it. Somebody is coming with a well where there is a hole here. Where through the hole you can also, sometimes if you take out this, again you can find it difficult to find out this. That is true. Sometimes it happens. So in these situations, probably this diamond well along with this hole is more important, so that you can introduce the guide wire from there. One point. And in case of your trochanteric nailing, which I am talking second generation, there your entry point is a bit anterior. In this point, this is, the reversing is happening. Are you getting my point? Piriform is a bit posterior, but in case of your is anterior. So that is another point. Another point. You are getting my point? So that is another point that you have to go like this. So after entering, then you have to go inside to get. You have gone. There are some maneuvers also when it is not going. Various techniques are there. Their reamer can also help you. Sometimes the cannulator reamer, straight cannulator reamer may help you to negotiate. Sometimes some maneuvers you have to do to go inside. Difficulties always there. Even then it can be done, but techniques are there. Sometimes even you difficult situation, one can take the smaller size of femoral nail, go inside and do the manipulation and push the gate here. So some techniques are there where you need to do some sort of maneuver to introduce, because your basic idea is all this thing is to put the guide wire in your actual position. Yes or no? Now reduction at the fracture side is very important. It is very sometimes difficult to reduce it with your. Why it is so? Why it is so? It is because of the fact that the muscles are very strong. Strong muscle, and while you pull it, here you have the gastrocnemius muscle. And this gastrocnemius tightness usually bring the fragment down. This fragment. So it goes for rotation. The gastrocnemius, as I pull it, then it will go. So you have to give a lift up. And this very sometimes difficult. Probably F-shaped. Have you seen F-shaped reduction claim sort of thing? This actually made of wood. So that can be also done. Sometimes power you have to give very much strong power, some additional force. Sometimes you can take your gauze, sometimes cloth also you can take linen, some manipulation. Sometimes you may take the help of a Steinman pin, unicortical fixations to do manipulation. Even everything fails, then open reductions, minimally exposure technique with where you can homens or livers can help you. So initial approach is always there to do the reductions by closed technique. Strong, powerful muscles are always difficult to do so. You can take the help of your different devices, pull, Steinman pin. Even everything fails, probably a mini exposure is logical to reduce it, because your reduction is a must. So if everything fails, probably sometime it happens so that you have encountered sometimes the small fragments of piece of bone which may come inside the medullary cavity because of the fracture here. So small fragments of the bone may be inside the medullary cavity. So if you push it, never come. It is very difficult situation. Probably it is the only solution to go for open reductions. We have faced some problems sometime also that a fragment, small fragment, which has gone inside the medullary cavity and unable to negotiate with this guide wire. Probably, finally, one may need to go for a little bit of open and take the fragment out to negotiate. It happens many times. It is a difficult situation, but sometimes happens. So after all these things what I have talked is basically to achieve a reduction. And these reductions can be also confirmed with your CM. And as I said, this thickness of the cortex is very important. So you always compare the thickness of the cortex or the proximal fragment and that with the distal fragment, whether it's uniform or not. A variations of the thickness of this cortex in both the component is a sign of some sort of rotation. ठीक है sir? Thickness is more, here thickness is less. Probably this is a sign of your, so if the uniform one, you know, even in committed fracture also, it is very important thing to look for the thickness of the. Otherwise, other techniques are always there, grossly you have to see. Finally, one can also take the help of your electrodes, your cutting diathermy. Diathermy, point 1 here, another point to the second digit, and see whether your line is in same axis or there is angulation to it. So there are some techniques where you alignment it is mostly problematic, particularly in case of committed fractures. Problematic particularly to aligning. So this alignment is very important. The guide wire you have to negotiate, you have to go up to the middle and straight in both AP and lateral view. Pure lateral view, as I said, is that where the condyle is overlapping each other. If you see one condyle, it is a pure lateral view. Otherwise, this is not. So one condyle means your pure lateral view. So lateral view is center, AP view is center. The next point is to go for rimming and other things. We have already discussed with that of your tibia. Problem is always there while you are doing the rimming also. Rimming while there is stuck, you do not stop it. If you stop it, probably it will be more difficult for you to remove it. So even then while you are stacking, you go and to and fro. Go slowly, again come back. Go slowly, come back. But do not stop it. If you stop it, then it will be more difficult. You go, come back, go, come back, go, come back, go slowly, 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 you will go. And here, in this point is always you have to maintain reduction. Because many a times your guide wire is very small, bone is there, but many times bone sag down. The while it is you are reviewing, then it is coming here, but other part is hinging on this. Our fragment is coming like this. Yes or no? Here it will also hinge. So here again you have to be very careful every time. You have to maintain the alignment so that the rimming is going closely. Now another point, as I said already, that in case of comminuted fractures, never try to do the rimming at the comminutions. That is hand push. Push that part, again do the rimming. So initially the end cutting, then your side cutting remark. Shuttering is the word says that you stop doing the rimming, and difference of rimming for the nail is 1.5 to 1. So this is difference should be always there. That means you are doing rimming for 1.5, say 11.5, or nail size is 10. Length of the nail is always from trochanter to tip of the your femoral upper pole of the patella. That is enough, and you can confirm it because with the help of your CM one can actually see actual length of dishes. So that can be done, and that is additionally can be helpful by the guide wire length also. The guide wire is another way where you can have this proper length. Part of the guide wire which is inside, outside, you can minus it from the other guide wire which is available with you, then you can take out. Otherwise somebody used to put the nail here, take the step and see whether this educate enough or not. So that is your measurement of the length of this nail. Then push the nail. Do the always hand pushing. Do not try to force it. If you do so, probably it will more damage. So always hand pushing is must. Go up to the condyle if possible, if necessary. Do the leg fixation. After doing this screw fixation, distal locking, mostly distal locking first done, then you tap it back so as to have good contact between these two. Yes or no? So that to have a good contact between the flexor side, third is back, then contact is got, then go for the locking here, distal proximal locking here. In proximal locking, as I said, there are modifications. One is to lesser trochanter, but it's not ideal to put the screw in the neck. It's not an ideal choice. If you put so, probably it will lead to a stress riser. So that is why nowadays no nails are coming where neck locking screw is going to the neck. Yes or no? PFN. Here screws are being given so that the around the lesser trochanter, but around the trochanter, but not to go to the neck. Neck is not a good thing. So that is the technical point of view. Putting the guide wire, rimming, change the guide wire from the ball tube 1 to bidet 1 to plain one with this exchanger. Then put the nail of smaller size. Do not hammer it. Go up to the condyle. Do the locking distal. Remove the traction. Go for compaction. Go for the proximal. Yes. Then and also the guide wire which is inside is always helpful for you to confirm the locking. You know that technique, you know? Yes or no? After pushing, you have to push the guide wire and see what the sound is coming. Then it is going to help you. Otherwise, this is one. And subsequent treatments is almost all know that you do the exercises and other thing. And some complications. Any complications to the femur? Fat embology. Regarding fat embology, I should tell you something. Regarding rimming, where to do rimming, where not to do rimming, it is a controversial matter. But up till now, it is definitely not proved that actually rimming causes this ARDS or fat embology. But it is said that in a case where you have optimized this patient with this in these situations you should not worry about the fat embology. But if the patient is having chest injury, mind it, if the patient is coming with a chest injury, diagnosed case of chest injury, better avoid doing rimming. Okay, sir? So, without chest injury, healthy man coming to extra femur, no worry. But optimization of the patient is important. That's why I am saying optimization of the patient is important. But if the patient is having definitive chest injury, he is not a good candidate to go for rimming. So this point is to be clear. Probably the small nail is going to do better rather than doing something else there. So this part should be clear that you do not have this problem there. Yes sir. So Simran sir, अभी आपको कोई पूछना है क्या?